What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy J Dub, the number one comment on YouTube, and I'm back with another review. Today, I will be reviewing Ready to Love. This is season 7, episode 9. Wife Me Please. And before I get started, for those who are new to my channel, I do detailed reviews of reality shows. I don't do every scene for scene, but I try to pick up the most important details that I believe, and also maybe pick up some details that may have not noticed. As in my intro, I said I am YouTube's number one commenter. So the primary goal, focus, what we need is the comments. Because again, this is the energy, this is the fuel, this is what I look for to, to keep me going and doing this, to pushing out this great content. Because that's where I live, that's what I want, that's what I need. And I just enjoy so much y'all, the Dub fam, interacting with each other, telling jokes, debating, and we just have fun. The only thing I ask is that we stay respectful to each other. Say what you say. That's the motto of this channel. About anybody on that TV screen, how you feel, we have a right to our opinion. So, this is a safe space. This is a safe space for you to express yourself. That's what they talk about in this show. So without further ado, my Ready to Love is late, but I'm trying to play catch up. So we're gonna do our best, and I think I got one more. What I gotta do? Ready to Love DC. So you know, the people say bring the content. I'm gonna do my best to get it out. So let's go ahead and start with. So it's this episode. It starts out at the men's lounge, aka the church. As Tommy says, and all the men are coming in, and Tommy's like blown away that Blake has 9 lives. Like he's always back. Blake is in every elimination pretty much, and somehow he still survives. And I'm thinking, Tommy, no, you not. Blake was in a staff meeting. He a part of the program. I don't know why y'all faking because there's no way this guy's in the bottom pretty much every single time with one connection and has like so much negative feedback from the ladies that he just gets to stick and stay around and beating everybody else out. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. But let's just go with the storyline. We're gonna roll with it. And Tommy lets the guys know that they need to introduce their connections to their best friends. And this is where I kind of starting to buy into the narrative that like this show is men biased. Why? Because like the women got to bring their ex. Now I don't know if for some season when a man brought his ex, it went bad. Somebody got injured, stabbed, hurt. I don't know, but the men always seem to bring their best friend and not their exes. But I'm thinking if you're gonna bring the ladies' exes, bring the guys' exes too. If not, let's bring both best friends. That's how I see it. But the first meeting we got is with Andre. He's having his best friend meet Cynthia and Jeffrey at his place, and Cynthia pretty much said that what she can offer Andre is 2 kids, which are already here, and a dog, and that's it. To I guess to say like pretty much that's all the kids that she's having, and I'm thinking how's she gonna give Trinidad James kids away? We seen her in the last episode with her children's father. That man ain't giving away no kids. But how she promised him that, I don't know. And Jeffrey pretty much says that um she brings the protection of her children and will allow Andre to, I guess, lead them. Like, is that really something to offer? I don't know, but let's keep going. I'm doing my best. So Andre's friend Jermaine, he actually like almost fell in love with Cynthia when she told Jermaine that like, hey, I want to create a space for Andre, of protection and a place for him to express himself. That sounds more like her love language, but Jermaine was like, oh, you got me right then and there. Like he loving it. And Andre looking like, and I'm looking like, I ain't feeling it all like that. But then Andre's friend Jermaine to me asked the dumbest question in the world, like tell me about your other connections if you have them, and then how do they compare with Andre? And I'm like, why? Why are we comparing your other connections to Andre? What would that get out of the situation? It doesn't make any sense to do. But the ladies answered the best they could, like, hey, well, Cynthia's like, I'm not gonna compare them, and Jeffrey was like, well, they don't compare. And that was pretty much the best. So once the ladies left, um, Andre's friend Jermaine, he was really impressed by Cynthia. However, me and Andre were not impressed by Cynthia. I told y'all from a time ago, like when Andre had that date with Cynthia at the Sipping Paint, he was just going through the motion, but everybody was so touched. Andre supported her. He let her weep, and he held her and all that kind of stuff. Andre ain't feeling all that because what he said, he's like, it's more so like Cynthia gives like rehearsed lines, in which I went back on my other reviews and said like Cynthia seems like she competes to come off deep. Now, granted, Cynthia is still my favorite person on the show. However, I can't help but to see that and feel that way. And apparently, Andre is picking it up too. But that ain't really hard to do because, like, once we got a taste of the real Morgan, yeah, anybody could be number one. I could like Jeffrey more, but let's move on to the next date. We got Mark Anthony. He's meeting his friend Mark, and they're meeting up with Jeffrey and Mercedes. And Mark, pretty much asked the ladies what were their red flags. And I thought the ladies did pretty well in that situation because to me, that's like a hard question because you're saying, like, really look at yourself in the mirror. What are your flaws? What would drive a person away from you or make them take a second look at you? And Mercedes pretty much said that she has to get out of like the homey vibe or space, and I can see that because it's granted that she's not like what do you call a pressure type woman where she's demanding so much of you, but it's like, what does she even require? Y'all hang out and smash or whatever y'all do. And Jeffrey said that she's an overthinker, and Mark knows that. And once the ladies were done, Mark Anthony's friends, Mark said, like, hands down, the winner is Mercedes due to her, like, the flow of her conversation and her personality. And to me, it's like, it's a no brainer at this point. I've said it before. Mark Anthony and Mercedes go together better. Why would Mark Anthony pick a woman with 3 kids that's been abandoned by their father when Mark Anthony doesn't even want to date women with children because he had a bad experience previously? He doesn't have any children. What does Jeffrey really have to? How could she win over Mercedes? I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Mercedes is easy, light going. They're in the same profession. They don't have the same responsibilities. It just makes sense. And granted, like, not that Jeffrey can't get a man or whatever. She's got the skills to kind of draw a man in, but I don't think she has it to keep them because what bachelor, whether it's Andre, whether it's Mark Anthony, just say, like, you know what? I don't have no kids, but I need some kids that are already born. And whether their father is here or not, I want to raise them. And maybe I'll have a kid of my own or not. No. Anyway, go to the next day. We talking about Lyndon and Morgan. And Lyndon has invited Morgan to meet his best friend. And Lyndon is in the same boat to me as Blake. It's like, why am I still looking at Lyndon? How is he here? Morgan is his only connection. I don't hear any of the ladies say anything about him wanting to be with him, showing interest or anything. He's already shown that he's inconsistent. And what does he really have to offer? And I mean, when they get down, they get right into it. As far as like what's going on, Morgan is pretty much saying, responding to Lyndon's friend, like, why isn't Lyndon the only connection? I'm like, why would he be? But Morgan said that like their plans, their life goals differ. Lyndon's 5-year plan is Morgan's 2-year plan. I get that, but she's like, wife me please. She ready to get married. She ready. That's her aspect. That's what she want to do. That's where she at. And Lyndon is still with his roommate. Lyndon's a bartender. He probably works part-time. And he's not ready to go forward, So what would make him want to jump and make that move with Morgan? But that's not where it ends. Lyndon let his friend know about the Nair and the hair story, and pretty much Morgan doubled down on that or whatever. She tried to like make excuses. Well, okay, well, it was pretty much retaliation for me thinking that the guy was cheating or whatever, and that she went as far as so much as Googling that information so she wouldn't get arrested. I don't believe that, because you could absolutely get arrested for that, charged and all kind of things with that. That's an attack, that's an assault, but we're gonna downplay it because it's Morgan. The evilest girls have the prettiest face. That's all I got to say. So, um, at this point, Linda's friend is saying like that's a red flag, and Linda's like, well, can we ignore it, or how big is it? How bad is it? He's like, that red flag is like big as a football field, which it is. Like, I expressed myself about. I'm disgusted by that situation in real life. It's a true double standard. The men's advocacy group, we don't rock with that. We not having that. If a man can't do that, why should a woman be able to do that? That's not okay. That's domestic violence. Call a thing a thing. Let's be fair for real. Even though life isn't fair, that ain't right. So let me move on because I'm triggered. um, so Blake and Tony, they going to do their little meet and greets with their connection with their best friend, and Morgan is meeting with Tony as well as Marcy. And to me, Marcy or Morgan is perfect for Tony. They're two peas in a pod. They're both possessive, they're both insecure, they're both territorial. A match made in hell. So it would be perfect. I don't even know why Marcy's still in it. Maybe she's the placeholder, just like Lyndon is the placeholder for Morgan. And Tony's friend of 25 years asked the ladies a question. I think it really went over their head. I think they were just, again, focusing on the pageant answers of what sounded right. He asked the ladies, he was like, well, both of you ladies don't have any children. And I'm sure you do. But how would that look for my guy, Tony? He's got 2 kids, and pretty much having children with either one of you, he would be starting over, which is a realistic question. Like, Tony's in his mid 40s, and that's a drastic uh, life change to start having a baby in your mid 40s, and you're going to be the old dad at 65 at the graduation. I don't know, that's the thing. But the ladies were focused on themselves. Like Marcia was like, oh well, I'm just looking for a man who will support me positively in the pregnancy, who'll be there for me and all that. And I forgot what Morgan said, but it was just really all about them. I don't even think they were listening for real. But as far as Blake, Blake, he went to a date with his only connection, Susu. And it wasn't like a date, it was more like a quarterly evaluation, with Blake and his friend, and trying to reinforce that Sue needs to advocate for Blake. And Sue actually confirmed that. She advocates for Blake about all the women saying bad things about him and all of that. And what I did learn about Sue Ann is that she's actually recently, well, I ain't gonna say recently divorced. She's been divorced for 2 years, and she's the mother of 2 girls. And just out of the blue, Sue Ann said that Blake would be, she sees him as being a great girl dad. And I'm like, not only Sue, but all the other women, how are y'all comfortably turning over your children for men you probably known in a couple of weeks? Like, you ready for them to lead you, take you, move to another country, and all of that, just in these little bit of meetings or whatever. I mean, it's wild, it's ridiculous. It's like it's coming off like super duper desperate, and it feels funny. And let's go on over to Anthony. He actually had 2 separate dates. He had a date with Cynthia at his house that met his friend one on one, and he also had a diner date with Susu and Mercedes. Like, why? Um, I don't know. Mercedes and Anthony don't click, and Susu is still wondering if Anthony likes her at this point. We're almost finished wrapping this season up, and she's still wondering. And she even vocalized, like, hey, I don't even know if Anthony likes me. And I'm thinking like, Sue, if you got to keep asking, he don't like you. But like under pressure, out of irritation, Anthony says, okay, Sue, I like you. Okay, okay, wonderful. But he's BSing these ladies. And I don't see, and I've never saw how uh, people don't view Anthony any different than, we get it like, oh, he's ready for life. Yeah, he may have a plan or have some goals, but he's just talking. He doesn't walk the walk, and the ladies have called him out for being inconsistent. Again, I think Anthony is trying to find himself. I don't see all that what they seeing. But it's just it's a thing where Anthony's friend is asking Cynthia, like, real talk, is your children's father going to be a problem? Because I'm sure Anthony shared that story like at the restaurant, and Cynthia tried to set the record straight. Like, well, I've known my children's father since I was 12, but I set boundaries. He knows what's going on. I know how to handle him, and I don't believe that. But I'm sure Anthony don't want to be bothered with Cynthia either. Unless it's just to make it to the end of the show. And as far as a date with Anthony at the diner with Susu and Mercedes, I thought Mercedes gave the best answer, but it's kind of the song that she's singing. I like honesty, and she really feels like she's not sure that her and Anthony will make a great fit because she doesn't really feel like she's ready for motherhood or I'm gonna say stepmotherhood or whatever. And that's the real thing. That's a lot of responsibility. It's not like you're building and growing off the break with just you two. Immediately, if you're building a whole life and all of that, you got to incorporate. He got to incorporate his daughter with it. So, yeah, I know it's a thing, but uh, the thing I like about Susu, you can tell that she's smart. And as annoying as she can be of asking Anthony, like, do you like me? Do you like me? Do you like me? She makes a profound statement because Anthony's friend made an excuse about, well, Anthony probably doesn't want to put his feelings out there in order not to get hurt or whatever. And Susu said, like, look, I don't want to be anybody's emotional coach. Granted, she said in the confessional, but I totally get that. At this point, Anthony's almost 40 years old, and he doesn't want to tell or avoid Sue about how he's really feeling about her. She deserves better than that. And that's that for all the dates. So we back at the men's deliberation at the church, and Tommy finally made a funny joke about Dre. You know, pretty much basically saying, he can't get things together. 1 minute his head, he got this on the front and got this on the back and all of that. That was funny, because it looks like Dre struggles with decision making with that hairstyle. It's quite ridiculous. I know he's different and some people like quirky and different, but it shows his level of commitment. He doesn't have any. And again, Dre mentioned in the men's lounge that he really wasn't impressed with Cynthia's depth, like she got to try to be so deep, and I told y'all that from the beginning. He ain't feeling her like that. So pretty much to skim over it, all the dates pretty much went well. They were what they were. So bottom line, the bottom ladies are Sue-Ann and Marcia. And I think these are two great picks. At this point, Sue-Ann only deals with Blake, and it ain't really romantic like that. And Marcia is being kept as a placeholder through Tony to make sure he goes all the way. And finally they got it right. So um Marcia is the one, she's actually she's actually going home. And Tony let her down easy or whatever. And I just think at this point, like, who do we have left, and who is really what do you call it? Who is really coming together? I mean, I don't really see the couples here, but I guess on the next episode we're gonna get to the best part where they have the group trip. That's always interesting. It's always drama because you put everybody under the same roof and it's gonna be something. But you know, see you, Marcia. Blue's gone, so she really didn't have a connection. That was what she thought. Tony didn't really like her like that. Um, I just don't understand it. So that's all I got. Drop down in the comments. Tell me what you thought about this episode, the review, something you want to add, something I missed. And I'll do my best to crank out that Love and Marriage DC. And as I always tell y'all could be anywhere in this YouTube world, but you're here with me. I really appreciate it, and I really mean it.